If it's not one thing, it's another. I got a brand new tripod in. I've used it once or twice. Brought it out here today, and I've already lost the little thing on top that holds the phone. So, anyway, it is June 11th, so about the middle of June, Northeast Arkansas. It has been raining just about every day or every other day for the last week or so. It is humid as all get out. At 10 o'clock, I think the actual temperature was 78. The heat index was already in the mid-90s, and they're expecting potentially up to 101 heat index. But it is garlic and onion season here. So this is my first set of garlic. I planted about 3 or 4 different kinds of garlic, and of course I think I had them labeled, but I may have to look in an old video to remember what I planted where to see which ones they are. These are some that I think I got all of them from Johnny Seeds. Some of them are probably stayed out there a little too long, but they and the onions need to be hung up to dry. And what I did last year, I have got this storage shed, tough shed that I got 40% off from Home Depot. It was a demo 3 or 4 years ago or more, and I got it 40% off and delivered across state lines. But what I started with last year is I put these little brackets on and just hung some wire, and then I had enough onions that I needed more, so I just put some nails and wire going across to the other side, and I've got 4 of those, and then I would just kind of tie about 3, 4, 5 garlic or onions together and just hang them over that wire and let them dry. And it worked. I mean, you got to think about that wire right there is probably about 6 foot high, 6'4", something like that. It goes down a little bit to the other side. I'm 5'5", and so when you put the onions or the garlic on there, they would hang down, to at least to down here, and that's about 4.5 foot. So when it was full, you couldn't see the back, and you had to duck down. It worked. As they dried out, some of the small ones in the bunch might fall out, and it wasn't the cleanest thing, but it's not going to be that clean. So this year I've got quite a bit, and I may still use those. I may need to use those to hang them on. And just in case you're not sure why I'm doing this inside a shed like this, to let your onions and garlic cure, they need to be out of sunlight. They don't need to get rained on, so they need to be out under cover. Cooler is better without, you don't want to refrigerate them or anything, but need to be, a little bit cooler than ambient temperature, at least here in Northeast Arkansas in the south. And you need as much airflow as possible, and let them dry out until on the onions especially, the outer papers are actually dry to a papery thing, and then the stalks or the leaves are pretty much dried out, and then you can either cut them off or you can string them or do whatever you need to. So you're looking for cover, out of sunlight, and airflow, and not too hot but not too cold. So now I could do quite a bit, some construction in here and make some fancy racks and stuff like that, and I've got some ideas for that. But right now I don't need to be building more infrastructure here, because hopefully within a year I'm going to move. So I need things that can be disassembled, moved, rearranged, things like that. So what you see there in the middle, that rack like you would see in a lot of times in kitchens, is what I'm going to try to use this year, or at least for now. One good thing about it, you see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, there's actually 5 racks. So what I'm going to try to do is hang them, and I'll show you how, on the upper ones, and then the bottom one I may just lay them out. And then I've got it set in the center, Now, I do not have electricity out here right now, so I may end up bringing an extension cord out with a fan, or even I've got solar panels and stuff. I've got one battery, inverter and all that that's out in the storage container. It's really not being used. I may bring and install here so that it can then power a small inverter and just a fan just to keep some airflow. But anyway, so basically, I'm going to start with the garlic because garlic is more valuable than onions if you go to buy it. And all I'm going to do, I'm going to try to do at least, is just hang them through there like that. Okay? And see how many I can get in there. Hopefully I can get all the garlic on that top rack, and then I can start with the onions on the next rack. So let me get to work on that, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so that small basket full of garlic did almost 1/2 of one row. And what I'll do is I'll put onions on the rest of it so that I don't mix up the different kinds of garlic. So when I pull the next different kind of garlic, if I've got room, it'll go on a different rack or on one of these wires. Now, this rack, I picked it up at the local True Value, and it was about $89, not counting tax. So not necessarily the cheapest thing, but again, I can move it around, I can reconfigure it if I need to, things like that. The first thing that I thought about using was those white plastic coated ones you get for closets, like you put up against the wall, and there's some different kinds of braces and stuff, and you use kind of to organize your closets. I think those would have been a lot less expensive. However, like I said earlier, I would have had to adhere them to the wall in some way. I'd had to get some brackets and mount them. And right now, I don't want to build anything, do any more built-ins like this. So this is what I'm going to go with for right now. I'm going to go get my onions and start putting the onions in there. And I will probably have this whole thing filled up with garlic and onions, and I haven't really even made a dent in my onion crop picking them yet. Bit of a quick topic change. I've got one of many fruit trees here, and I walked out front and I saw some of these. Now this is supposed to be a nectarine tree, and so I've been keeping an eye on it. It's right here. And I mean, it's totally loaded, probably overloaded. And I was looking over and I noticed some red stuff. Now, I've got one tree that I bought as a plum that turns out it was grafted with a peach. This kind of looks similar in that there may be two different things grafted on there, but it's kind of hard to tell. Bark is similar, but not exactly. So I don't know if maybe the so-called self-pollinated portion of this, if maybe they put two different kinds of nectarines on the same plant, because everything that's ripening is coming off of this branch. Nothing over here is anywhere close to ripening. So they're acting like it's two completely different plants. So I went through and got all the ones I could get. If you look up in there, probably can't see it, but up over my head where I can't get to without a ladder are some more of those ripe or overripe fruit. But everything that's ripe or overripe, kind of apple looking, and I got 3 of them look okay. So I'm going to cut those and see if they taste like an apple. But that'd be very strange if I've got an apple and nectarine, but everything on this side looks like these. But so I've only got three possibly good ones out of this, and but nothing goes to waste. So what I'll do, just out of curiosity, this one, you know, it's got some rotten stuff in there, but this part of it right here looks like it may be okay. Okay, that's nectarine-y. Not quite plum. I guess when I open those other ones up, I'll see if there's a stone in the middle of it or whatever. But got a really good taste. But yeah, I'm gonna give these to the chickens. So they'll go to town on those, and they'll probably start with the softest part. And worst case scenario, if some flies or bugs get in there, they'll just eat the bugs or the larvae. And absolute worst case scenario, they'll just scratch and scratch and scratch, and they'll get composted in place here. So a little bit of a topic change while I keep working on the onions, and I'll show you the results of the onions when I get done or when it gets too dark. So here's kind of what I'm doing as I'm going. I'm learning or figuring out different techniques. At first, I just hung them up and was letting everything hang just as low as possible. Then I realized if I want to have any airflow between the layers, I need to cut them. So I just kind of reached in there with my hand and the scissors and cut them to where there would be some air gap there, get some airflow. Now what I'm doing is, instead of going through the trouble of putting them all through the grate and then reaching in and trying, you know, so instead of putting them in and then coming back and cutting them, I'm cutting them before I even put them in. And I may be cutting them a little shorter, but more airflow is not going to be bad. So I have completely filled up one rack, and I had to go back and get another one, and they didn't have another chrome one that matched at the True Value. And I'm not crossing the bridge over into Memphis right now because we've got one of two bridges down. So one bridge has 3 lanes going each way, one bridge has 2 lanes going each way, and one of those bridges, the larger and the newer one, is you may have seen on the news, is broke. So they are fixing it, and it's really backing things up. So I'm not crossing. If it's not available in West Memphis and Marion, then I pretty much have to go either to Wynn, Forest City, or Jonesboro. Okay, so let's see if I can get this about right. The light's not going to be real good, but I have spent off and on the last 3 days working on these onions, and I've gotten 2 of these racks. Like I said, I got them at True Value. They're probably a little overpriced, but the good thing about them is they're not permanent. I can move them around, I can disassemble them, I can use them for other things later, and they should last a long time as long as I take care of them. So I'm going to try to consider them more of an investment than anything else. And normally I would say you could build something like this a whole lot cheaper out of wood, but frankly with today's wood prices, I'm not sure that's going to be true. But anyway, so I've got 2 of these racks. I am 5'5". These are 6 foot. 5 shelves each. Each shelf on average has about 75 onions on it. Although way back here on that one, that shelf is about half of that one's garlic. That's only one type of garlic, and I'm probably going to get a 3rd one of these because I've still got 2 very small beds of onions, probably about enough to fill one more shelf. And then I've got probably about 50 to 60 feet or more row of garlic. Most of that, half of it at least, being elephant garlic, and then two other types of regular garlic, and then I've got some here at the house. So I could probably fill one more of these racks with onions, with 1 shelf of onions and the rest of it garlic. And this is in a storage shed, 8 by 12, 10 by 12 tough shed. So, and it's just kind of going down the center right now. And if I need to, of course, I can move it so I can scoot it over to one side if I need a little bit more room or something. But yeah, that is a lot of onions. I usually get these from Dixondale, and I haven't had a whole lot of good luck. It's nothing wrong with their sets. Their sets are awesome. But usually I don't think I've got, since I don't use regular fertilize, I haven't had the soil built up enough in the bed where I'm putting them to really get some big ones and good ones. So normally if I put out a whole case, which is about 1,000 or so, then they're all, I don't know, a quarter of this size if at best, and I end up just not getting a whole lot. So this is a whole lot more onions than I normally get, just because they did a whole lot better this year. Maybe I got them out earlier. A couple of the beds had a lot better. They were a lot more fertile, having been used before and had compost and stuff on them. But yeah, so that's. And then yeah, like I said, I just cut these off to get a little bit of room for airflow. So I'm not really sure. I've never really seen anybody else do that. I don't know that it's going to make a huge difference. We're just trying to dry them out. And then I do have a fan, just a box fan that I'm going to have running in here, trying to keep the air circulating, because like today it was in the mid 90s with the heat index, with the humidity well over 100. So I've got a box fan in here, and I may even pull a second one in here to keep the air circulating. And I'm considering, since I'm having to move a bunch of stuff around anyway, I've got some extra solar panels that I'm not using yet. They're brand new. I may hang a couple of 200-watt solar panels on each side, so in the morning when the sun comes up and stuff, and then move my homemade lithium-ion battery and inverter and stuff in here, and just try to make this as self-contained solar. Anyway, I hope that was informative, entertaining, or something.